morning, everyone. Today is Sunday, June 8th, I believe. It's been about 3 weeks since my last podcast, at least that you've seen. I did film one last week, but I spoke at like 2 times speed and it was just a little chaotic. So I'm going to redo it today. I have a little bit more to share with you, and hopefully I'll slow down and make it a little bit more coherent. So, hello, my name is Kristen. I come to you from Baltimore County, Maryland. This is a little podcast where I share my thoughts and feelings about the project that I'm working on. I'm a knitter primarily, but I also crochet and spin and sew a little bit, even though I'm not very good at it. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what I'm working on. So it'll follow the traditional knitting podcast format where I will go through my finished objects, my works in progress, any acquisitions that I have, and then future plans. I will wrap it up with a little tidbit about my life and what I'm reading or not reading at the moment. So without further ado, let's get into it. I don't have any finished objects, not a single one, which is a little weird, a little strange. I'm slouching. We may get interrupted. I was given a 3D printer when I was a college student, and I no longer have any need for that 3D printer, so I'm passing it along to a teacher, and hopefully they will come pick that up soon, so we may get interrupted, and you'll see me looking out the window just to make sure that they're not here. Okay, so I do not have any finished objects this week. I've been knitting quite a bit actually, but I'm not knitting monogamously on anything. So there's just nothing to show. And everything that I'm working on is a pretty large project. Um, my hands are really bothering me. So I kind of took a break from knitting yesterday, and you're going to see me like holding this. It's because it's very hot and it's relaxing my hands a lot. No finished objects, but I do have quite a few works in progress. Some that you've seen and one that you haven't. So let's get out of the way what I haven't worked on at all. And that includes the muscle burr hat, the camisole number 9, the double knit blanket, and the crochet, Irish crochet coat. I haven't picked those up. I haven't looked at them at all. I really want to start a new crochet blanket, but I feel like I have to finish the coat or at least work on the coat before I can start a crochet blanket. But I have like a really cute idea for a scrappy crochet blanket that I just keep thinking about. So perhaps I'll cast that on this upcoming week. Okay, so there's no real order to this right now. I'm just gonna show you what I've got in the bags that I pick up first. So starting off strong with my pressed flowers cardigan. The last time you guys saw this, I had just gotten the ribbing done. And I was really excited to work with my hand spun. And as you can see, this is not my hand spun. The reason why is because the teal in my hand spun was the exact same tone as the brown. So it was getting lost. And I didn't want that. So I switched gears, and I had a skein of this Juniper Moon Patagonia Organic Merino in the color light gray left over from my Trove sweater. So I just started knitting with that. And while I think it's very pretty, it's not really the vibe I was going for. So I don't know if I'll continue with this. It's kind of giving church lady to me, which is not a bad thing. And like, who doesn't want like a classic, cute little cardigan in their wardrobe? but it's just not like fun and exciting. So this is going to be a long-term project, and I will keep you updated on if I'm going to continue down this route or if I'm going to rip it back and get a couple skeins of the Feederbrook Farm. Um, it's like their spin cycle, the way the color changes, and I think that would look really cool with this. They have like a hot pink and lime green one that might add some razzle dazzle to this. I don't know. This brown yarn, I swear, is cursed. Every time I work with it, I'm like, no, that's not quite right. But I do really like the way it feels with the added mohair. So, Pressed Flowers cardigan. I don't have much to say about it because I'm just not really working on it. I got through 1.5 repeats. I need like 5 before I split. For arms, I believe I am making the size 4 in this, but I will pop it up on the screen because my memory fails me. It's been about 2 weeks since I worked on this. Okay, so that's the Pressed Flowers cardigan by Amy Christoffers. I will be happy when I finally make a decision on if I'm going to continue with this or not. Next up, we have the Midland cardigan. So the last time you guys saw this, I'm not sure, but I wasn't here. Oh my goodness, yay! Yeah, so she's all seamed up, and it's really nice. Like, I think that this construction is really, really interesting, and I enjoyed it. So it's going to be hard to show now that it's seamed, but essentially you start like along this edge, right? And you're knitting. How do I show this? Okay. So you're knitting up like a long panel, right? But it's like this circle, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then you cast off stitches, and you just knit across the back. And then you cast on stitches and you knit back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then you seam those 2 panels together and these 2 panels together to get the little armholes. And do I think this is going to be the most wearable cardigan for me? No. And I'll tell you why. It's my body shape. I don't like really go in. So I probably should have chosen a bigger size. And Laura Penrose explains all of this in the pattern. So it's not like a big shock that like this is how it's constructed. But when I put this on, it's very snug around where my hips are. And that's because my hips start higher than most people's, and should have accounted for that. Made a bigger size. I'm knitting the 3, probably should have knit the 4. That's on me, not on the pattern, not on Laura Penrose. I think this is one of the most fun things that I have knit in a long time, and it's bringing me back to when I was a beginner knitter, because I would start patterns and not really understand the construction because I had never done that before or whatever. For example, socks or a raglan. If I'd never knit a sock or a raglan, I didn't know how to do that. So I would just follow the pattern exactly, and then by magic, it would work and there would be a garment. But it was just like, trust the steps, trust the process, just read really carefully, and then something would happen. And that's how I felt with this, because I didn't read ahead. I didn't read the blurb about how it was constructed. I just started knitting. And I don't know, it just like was really fun. And even if this doesn't fit me great, I have people in my life where it would fit them great. And I think that even though this is quite a bold blue, it works with most people. So I will give it away, or I will wear it in the comfort of my home. And I'm very happy I started this. So next steps on this, I'm going to start the hem. and I hope to do that next week. So this has been done for quite some time, like nearly 3 weeks. This has been done. So I am ready to get this finished. Well, at least the hem finished, and then we'll start the sleeves. I'm gonna probably knit the sleeves flat. There's different options for different methods in the pattern. So there's like a seamed or seamless. And I'm just going with the seamed because I don't mind mattress stitching everything together. The other project that I have to show you that you have also seen is probably the one that has the most work done on it. So it's a little hard to show you, and I'm stuffing it in this tiny little bag, so it's a little wrinkled. But this is the Skyline tee, and I have quite a bit done on it. I'm sorry, there's so many ends right now. Look at that. So the pattern says to knit to 9 inches. I'm at about 8 1/4. I am not going to knit to 9 inches. That will be too short for me, too short for my mom. So I'm going to knit to probably about 10 1/2 inches and then start the 2-inch ribbing. Great pattern. There's no notes. It's simple, but it's beautiful, and I really like this yarn. Again, this is This is Illimani Sabri in the color 29, which is iron. The Midland cardigan is West Yorkshire Spinners BFL Fleece DK in the color, I should know this, but I keep forgetting. I'll pop it up. And I think I already talked about the yarn in the Pressed Flowers cardigan. So this is the Skyline tee by Tori Yu. I should be finished with this the next time I podcast. I'm using the Skyline tee as my reading knitting. So I'm reading and I'm knitting in the round. It's really the only time that I can knit stockinette like this. I don't enjoy it. I will find a different thing to do if all I have to do is knit stockinette and round. So I distract myself by reading or watching something that really interests me. And I have to use like a lot of my brain. So really happy with this. And I'm really excited to get this done and on the blocking mats and see if my mom is getting a really nice t-shirt or if I'm getting a really nice t-shirt. So far, I've only used about like 1 1/2 balls of yarn. So theoretically, if I use less than 2 or less balls of yarn, I could knit myself one pretty much the exact same size. And because I have 4 skeins of that yarn, so I could knit myself the exact same one. And I might, because it's really good. And it's just like a nice t-shirt, and it looks like well done. So I might do it. We all know how much I dislike my moonset tees, so this may be my redeeming moment for Illimani Sabri. So that is the Skyline tee by Tori Yu. And now I'm going to show you something that you haven't seen before. So you guys know that I do sock design, but I try really hard to also be a test knitter for other designers because I know, well, one, how hard it is to find people that are like truly willing to test knit for you, not make modifications, or if they make modifications, explain them, and give like really helpful feedback. So I do try to test knit a couple times a year just because I feel like, one, it's a really good experience and you're part of a community and you're helping a designer out, and I think that's lovely. And two, sometimes I just really want to knit what they are designing. So I have this. And this is the Fidalgo cardigan by Michi Frost Knits. And I just think that it's really lovely. Right now, it's kind of squished up. This is Barocco 220 in the color Crab Apple. And Barocco just like, for whatever reason, is so like crunchy. I don't know how else to explain it. It just like, it doesn't lay nice until you block it. And then once you block it, it's like magic. And it just like opens up and it blues and it's so lovely. But yeah, this is a test knit for Michi Frost Knits, and I really, really like it. It is a 3x1 broken rib, so it's really simple and it's coming along really well. So I got the yarn on Tuesday of last week, and I'm already here. I've got my first buttonhole in. I have 3 more to go, and then the sleeves. So I should be able to finish this on time. And I'm just going to keep trucking on it. Now that I'm in the body, I'm kind of like, but once I finish the skyline, I will replace the skyline with this for my reading knitting. And that will help me pass the time on it. So really excited. It's a nice construction. You start back here with the neckband, and then from there you knit out, knit the back, and then cast on the left and right fronts, and then join. So the button band is integrated, which I love, that I don't have to go back and pick up and knit the button band, and the buttonholes are done while you're knitting and not afterthought. So she's really just kind of thought of everything with this, and it makes it really, really nice. So I'm really excited about this, and I'm knitting on this a lot. So hopefully a lot of progress to come. And that's all I'm working on right now. So far, I've knit an entire ball of 220 plus the vast majority of another. I would say like 80% of another. So the yarn is really stretching, and that's pretty exciting. I bought 8 balls of yarn, which you can see them all back there. And I had Wool & Company just wind them for me, so I was ready to knit. Because my little winder my winder is fine. It's my Swift. I have an Amish Swift. I have the Jagu Amish Swift, and I have had it for probably like 5 or 6 years. One of the beams split on it, and so I had them replace it, and they did a great job. But now, like where the pegs go to like drape your yarn around, they're so worn out from being used so many times that like it just like come out with centrifugal force. So I need to buy a new Swift, and I really don't want to because I love my Swift. But I think I'm just gonna get an umbrella Swift that I can take up and down and like store in my drawers. Okay. So acquisitions, the only acquisitions that I have are the Cascade 220 for the test knit, and I really like this color. I'm not really a pink person, but I don't know, this like dusty pink, when I saw the sample, I was like, that pink is nice. And I was like, I kind of want a pink cardigan. So I did buy this, and I did also buy the recommended buttons in the pattern. So these are Warm Stripes buttons. They're handmade, and I thought they were super cute. So I have little pink buttons to go on my little pink cardigan. Okay, so that's acquisitions. Future plans. I just plan on continuing to knit and taking breaks as dictated by my hands. So if my hands aren't, then I'm not going to knit, and that's okay. I have been working in my garden a lot. I know I promised you guys like a garden update video. I did film it, or I have been filming it over the last like month or so, and I edited it, I watched it back, and it made me motion sick. So I'm not going to put that out because I don't want to make anybody motion sick, and I don't know. Maybe I'll include clips or like little photos of my garden. You don't know what you're doing until you try it and then either succeed or fail. So obviously I have a lot to learn when it comes to filming and video editing. So, we're chalking it up as a fail, but not, I learned a lot from it. Not a bad fail. So a lot of gardening, a lot of gardening. And I'm really excited to start getting a harvest from my garden. So in Maryland, the last couple weeks were very chilly for spring in Maryland. Generally, we go from winter to summer, and we did our winter to summer, and then it was cold for spring. It was like 50s and 60s, which I know would be like a normal spring in other places of the country, but here that's like now it should be like 70, 80, 90 degrees. So it was kind of weird that it was so cool. And my plants, not that they were struggling, but we were getting a lot of rain and it was cool. So they just weren't thriving. Also, my cucumbers did not like the amount of rain that we got. My cucumbers and my cantaloupe, they were stressed out. So since then, we've gotten a ton of sun and it's been very, very, very warm here. I think it was like 90 degrees 2 days ago. So my plants are really starting to thrive and I'm going to get fruit and vegetables off of those now that it's warm. So that's really exciting and I'm looking forward to that. And I will be holding up my vegetables like men hold their fish. So like here's my zucchini. Be prepared for that because that is happening. I know a lot of people are participating in Fish Girl Summer, and that will be my contribution to Fish Girl Summer is my pictures with my fruits and veggies. Okay. I think all that's left now is to talk about what I've been reading. And I brought my Kindle because I've read a lot. Not a lot, but like I've read things. So first thing first, I did start Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. And well, I started it and I finished it. And that was probably the first book I read in this time frame. I don't have anything to really say about it. I thought it was a good book. I enjoyed it. I will continue the series, but I am getting it from my library, like Libby on my phone, like the local library app. So I have to wait. I have time. 3.75 stars. If I had to round up or down, I would give it 4 stars. It's a little long-winded for me. And I don't know why sometimes that bothers me and other times it doesn't bother me, but in this case, it wasn't enough for me to not enjoy the story. For example, I have tried so many times to read the Diana, I don't want to butcher her last name, but the Outlander books, and I cannot get into them. They're my mom's favorite series, and I cannot get through the first like 4 chapters of the first book. I know the story. I think it's really interesting, but the way that she describes things down to like the thread count is beyond annoying to me for whatever reason. So take that with a grain of salt. Everybody's preferences are different. I think it comes down to just the prose that the author uses. The next book I read, The Ascension Trials. I want to personally apologize to Penn Cole, where I said that she wrote the most annoying character in the Spark of the Everflame book. And I take that back. because in the Ascension trials, the main character in that book is the most annoying, awful female main character I have ever read about in my entire life. At the end of the book, she gets what's coming for her, but like she has every opportunity to change and be a better person and learn from her mistakes. She does not. And she's just all around awful, arrogant, and I don't know. I cannot say enough bad things about that character. I gave that book 2 stars. And honestly, that was just like because of the ending. I'm not carrying on with that series. The next book I read was The Book of Azrael, and that was by Amber V. Nicole. It's the first book, and I can't read what I wrote here, but the next book in that series is called The Throne of Broken Gods, and I've also started that, but I have not finished it. Really interesting concept. The female main character is a morally gray character, which I feel like we don't get very often. I like her. She's witty. The male main character is kind of boring, but they have good chemistry and they have good quips back and forth. And uh, I just enjoyed it. The second book is just different. The pacing is different because of what happens in the first book. It's tragic, and so it starts off in a tragic place. And I just wasn't in the headspace to read that, so I switched to another book that's been on my TBR for forever, which is The Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. She is the person, I don't know why I have my Kindle out because I'm not even looking at it. She is the person that wrote The Serpent and the Wings of Night. Have you heard of that series? And I really, really enjoyed the first book in that series. The second book, not as much, but enjoyed the story as a whole. I have not read the novella yet. Yeah, I thought Daughter of No Worlds was a very good book. Would rate it 4 stars. Would rate Book of Azrael also 3.5 stars. Um, what to say about this? The female main character is really strong, really headstrong, really really incredible. And so I really appreciate her as just, a female main character. And I appreciate her wit, her strength, her adaptability. She's had some really terrible things happen to her in her life, and she still has the grit and determination to move on and understand that she's accepting the world for how it is. Um, but she's working to change it. And I thought that that was like a really beautiful and admirable way to live. So the second book is what I'm currently reading, which is The Children of Fallen Gods. And we're introduced to a new character who is part of the story now, but is from the past. So we're getting a past perspective intermingle that I'm sure what's happening in the past is going to have effect on what's happening right now in the future, and in the future. But you don't know how they connect, and I really appreciate that style of writing because I'm all for show me, don't tell me. So I don't mind when the main character is an unreliable narrator because they're ignorant or they don't understand something or they're learning because we're learning through them, right? But what I really like is when the main character is an unreliable narrator because they don't understand something or we're learning through them, but we also have other information that we're getting at the same time so we can fact check what the main character is telling us. So for example, if we have like a prelogue where there's like a meeting of the gods, or there's a chapter that's telling us about the magic system on something that maybe the main character does not know. I don't know. When we have more information than the main character does, so we can fact check what they're telling us and what they believe to be true. So just having that little bit of extra information, I really appreciate that kind of style of writing. And I would say that that would be my favorite type of writing to read. Um, I like when the main character is an unreliable character or an unreliable narrator because they're keeping stuff from us, but it just doesn't hit the same when the main character figures something out or the main character reveals something. It's just like, oh, you've been keeping secrets, Aelin, versus, oh, you just didn't understand, or there was a missing piece that you just didn't have that information. Um, so I am enjoying these books. This book has definitely slowed down for me. I'm in the middle of it. I feel like a lot of information in this book could have been cut out. But I will say, the way that this author writes, she's weaving stories, and we're not going to understand where all of these threads, where I think it's just not information that we need, are going to end up, because she's 10 steps ahead of where I am. But I will say, the battles that are being written are like, oh yeah, I did the damn thing. And then we get chapters of dialogue. Like, if you're going to write chapters of dialogue, give me some action. Like, explain what's happening, not just like, oh yeah, I did this. I want a little bit more action. So right now, this book is a 3-star for me, but I'm excited to finish it, and then I will come back and give you my full opinion. Okay, so I've babbled a lot, and this was really fun. So I will end it with what I'm wearing, which is the Clay Sweater by Ozetta. I knit it in West Yorkshire Spinners, BFL Fleece, DK, in the color, I think it's called light brown. It's one of their just undyed natural colorways, and I really love this sweater. I think it's really beautiful and it fits really well. I knit this in the size 4. So yeah, okay guys, thank you for listening to me ramble, and I appreciate you guys hanging out with me so much. I hope that your crafting is bringing you joy and peace, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.